Welcome to this next podcast on high performance tools for those that are spiritually awakened. Now, why high performance tools for spiritually awakened people? Well, let me share with you. I had a spiritual awakening and I have definitely spiritual gifts of mediumship, highly pronounced intuitive abilities. You might call these psychic abilities. And so, high performance, if you relate to this type of archetype, as having energetic abilities, high empath, highly sensitive. High performance tools are a little different for us as a group than high performance tools for other people that may not recognize having spiritual abilities or wanting to go down that path.
Hello and welcome to Brave Conversations. I'm your host, Sheila V. This podcast is all about helping you get brave, courageous, and confident to make real and lasting changes in your life so that, yes, you are living your truth. I'm here to help you navigate your spiritual awakening, to guide you how to heal from trauma in your past, and to manifest the life that you know you deserve. You are powerful, you are divine, and I'm here to remind you that you can achieve anything that you want in your life. I am a transformation coach, a spiritual teacher, a business mentor, a speaker, an author, and a badass brave woman. And I am obsessed with women bravely and courageously showing up to live their life with no apologies. And I cannot wait to get into today's episode with you.
Welcome to this next podcast on high performance tools for those that are spiritually awakened. Now, why high performance tools for spiritually awakened people? Well, let me share with you. I had a spiritual awakening and I have definitely spiritual gifts of mediumship, highly pronounced intuitive abilities. You might call these psychic abilities. And so high performance, if you relate to this type of archetype as having energetic abilities, high empath, highly sensitive, high performance tools are a little different for us as a group than high performance tools for other people that may not recognize having spiritual abilities or wanting to go down that path. Now, they're different because of our hypersensitivity that needs to be addressed. And they're different. High performance tools are different for us because there's a really good chance we had trauma in our childhood. Now, I've got to do a whole other podcast on trauma as linked to intuitive abilities because there is a link, I do believe, that makes the trauma actually makes us hypersensitive. But in this podcast, I'm going to talk about how we can perform at a peak level on earth, in our lives, as spiritually awakened people, because a lot of intuitive people come to me and they just share with me stories about how difficult they find life, how sensitive they are, how much healing they have to do. So I'm going to share with you some tools that I use. I've written some notes here. I'm going to share with you some tools that have gotten me to the performance level I am, that I'm comfortable with. I published a book. I'm writing a second book. We were on a television documentary, my husband and I, where we shared our IVF journey. That was, a lot of vulnerability and courage. Quit my corporate job. I've started a very successful coaching, spiritual business where I teach about spirituality, intuitive abilities, and I coach and mentor executive coaches. And I show people also how to start their own business. So how have I done this while I've been in the messiness of being so sensitive? I'm a little bit of a hermit. I don't like going out and doing a whole lot of socializing. I feel drained energetically when I do. And I've been triggered so much in this process, and I've had to keep on healing myself through this process. So the first thing I want to talk about, high performance. First tool, you will need to engage in healing, and quite regularly. And we need to change our relationship to healing in order to gain high performance. So I've seen this with many clients, and I had this situation come up for myself as well, where as you're going along your path and you're playing a bigger and a bigger game, and you are starting to kick goals and starting to create your dreams or bravely take that first step forward, you're going to get triggered. And you're going to get triggered bad. Like, real limiting beliefs are going to come up. Real inner conflict and potentially external conflict is going to come up. So we need to have a whole basket of healing tools and resources at our hands. We need to have energy healers there. We need to lean in towards people with really strong intellectual tools like astrologists, numerologists, human design. These are all locks and keys. Well, look, keys to the locks, then give us a lot more insights about who we are and how we operate in the world. The more self-awareness we have, the better we are at honoring ourselves. And the tools of astrology, numerology, a very good psychic counselor will help us understand what challenge we're going through now. Why is this important? Well, peak performance constantly asks us to evolve ourselves to the next best version of ourselves, to the next evolution of who we are called to be. So what does this mean? It means we're constantly going to be healing. And so we need to change our relationship with healing. We can't resent healing. We might feel fatigued by healing. We might have healing burnout where it's like, I've been doing healing for years. I've done so much ayahuasca. I've done so much Reiki healing. I've sat in so many women's circles. I don't get why I'm still being triggered, right? So we might say that to ourselves. All the healing is and it's very cliche, but it truly is layers of the onion being peeled off one layer at a time. And every time you up level, your soul, your higher self is going to call for a bigger version of you. And every time we up level, we're always going to bump up against the edge of the comfort and chaos zone. And that's always going to be triggering. And that's why we need to see healing as not a destination that we will ever get to. But there are definitely milestones and markers that when we get there, there are rewards. There are rewards and gifts from the universe. We start manifesting things that we've been on our vision board for a while, things that are meant to come, that we start becoming a vibrational match to. Yes. However, beyond that, we go back into a healing cycle again. So to be a high performer, we need to not resent healing. We can't think, oh, I'm done. I've done all the work. That is never the case. It doesn't matter how many times I go around the same roundabout. It's always different. And, I get triggered within my family. I get triggered within relationships. I've got money wounds. And I keep on thinking, when's this going to end? Well, never. It will never end. However, if we change our relationship to healing and see it as a journey that we're constantly evolving, and as we evolve, we take people with us, we can start to enjoy the healing process. We start to look at it with a bit more curiosity, wonderment, and we start watching the rewards that come every time we up level in the healing process. So number one, change our relationship with healing instead of resenting it or becoming fatigued. Take breaks if you need, but know it is a lifelong journey. Now, the second tool of high performance is hyperfocus. Focus on activities and tasks that are essential for your day and week. Whether you've got a corporate job or you're an entrepreneur, you're a stay-at-home mum, there are tasks that are going to constantly take you towards your vision and focus. Now, the number one goal that takes us off hyperfocus is lack of clarity about what we need to do every day and every week, and a lack of a vision. No vision means there's no focus. Oh, sorry, there's a third one as well, social media. What I do, let's address social media, because this is probably, I look at my own behavior daily and I watch how much time I waste on social media. And I will say waste, because if I'm watching a ton of reels over and over again, which we all are addicted to on some level, I'll use that word all because I don't know if it's all of us, but there's a good maturity. Especially if you use social media in your business, you have to be on it to a certain degree. If you're using it for a relaxation tool, we're on it, right? However, there's a fine line between using it for a particular way and getting addicted to it. So social media is the quickest way to take our focus off. So I've seen so many effective tools. I use them. My clients use them. I see other people use them. I literally put my phone in another room when I'm working. We sound crazy since our proximity to our phone is always within a foot, right? It's always right in our hand or near us. I put it in another room and I put it off. And I'll do it for a period of time. And I'll set an alarm on my computer. So if I need to stop working, it's like, okay, the computer's going to tell me, like not my phone. And there are no alerts on my computer. I hadn't interrupt myself and my addictive tendencies towards social media. The reward is I can see and feel the hyper focus on every task I do during the day. And I'm finding I get the task done so much faster. So high performance requires hyper focus and it requires completion of tasks. If we are leaving tasks undone and they're dragging on to the next day and the next week and the next month, and our to-do list is getting longer, that has a very negative impact on our self-esteem, on our ability to be productive, on how we feel about ourselves. And then we start to feel overwhelmed because our list is getting longer and longer. So hyper focus puts us in a state where we focus on what we need to do today and what's important. Right. So when you think about it, you're like, what is an important task for my business today, this week? What's an important task in my corporate job today, this week, which means I don't have to work long hours? What's an important task for my family to have the values I want for my family, the fun, the enjoyment, the sense of peace, the organization? There's a lot of chaos within young families. And so hyper focus and clarity on small tasks, removing excessive distractions like social media is a tool of high performance. Now, this does not happen by accident. It happens by true intention, practice over and over again. When I first started to, even I just would put my phone to the side, I'd reach for my phone every 10 to 15 minutes and just check. Has a new email come through? Has a text? And I'm thinking it would literally stop the train of thought and I'd have to spend more time getting back into the zone. When you start working on hyperfocus as a part of your day, like the gym, you get stronger and stronger and better, and you become conditioned to focus, right? And you actually realize you don't need to be hyper-focused for eight hours a day. I realize now in running my business, if I'm hyper-focused for 2 hours of the day, I get so much done. 2 hours is all I need of hyper-focus and then I'm done. And why is this important for a sensitive, spiritual, woman or man healing through trauma? Because we probably don't have a lot of energy to give into work. So we need to actually find ways to get a lot done in less periods of time because your energy system might need resting. You might be working in the healing space where you can't actually do long hours, right? So hyper focus and really intentional focus is a way to be exceptionally productive for less periods of time. Okay. Now the third thing is this might need a bit of explanation. Work with managing your neurotransmitters every day. Now, what do I mean? You need to work with firing up dopamine and serotonin and the endorphins every day, because when you're hypersensitive or you're working through trauma or you're going through another bout of healing, another cycle of healing, you might wake up feeling depressed or anxious, or you might be having a real tough patch because astrologically you might be struggling with some sort of transits going through your charts, or you might be working on breaking another kind of wound or a cycle in your life and a lot's coming up for you. So you need to get smart with activating dopamine of a morning. So your morning practice becomes incredibly important. And I discovered this last 2 years doing IVF. I thought I've got real mastery over who I am. And I went down a cycle of depression and anxiety all over again as we did 7 cycles of IVF. And as I did it, I would wake up anxious and depressed of a morning. And this went on for months. And I realized I needed to wake up and take way more control of that first hour of the day, because how I set up that hour changed the shape and feel of the day and my productivity. So depending on who you are, and this is where, why do I spas? Why meditate? Why journal write? Why exercise? Because it is activating your neurotransmitters. You're getting a dopamine hit, you're getting endorphins, you're getting serotonin, you're changing the chemistry of your body and your mind. That does dramatic wonders to anything you're going through in your life. Unless you're really going through a crisis, right? You need definitely counseling and support. I'm talking about you're going through a tough patch and you feel like you can regulate yourself. This is something high performers do. They take control of their day, of their neurotransmitters, the dopamine, the endorphins. They're in control. So I realized as the years have gone on, I'm in control of how I feel. Now, if someone says something that triggers me, if there's something that happens during my day, I can't control that. But first thing in the morning, I can. I can control how I feel. And also I can control how I recover from being triggered. I don't sit in the soup too long these days. I don't sit in that real depressed state. I get resourced very quickly. So as a spiritually awakened woman or man on a healing journey from trauma, this is a high performance tool, learning how you resource yourself during a crisis and learning how to manage these important chemicals in your brain and body daily is a tool for high performance. The next thing I want to talk about is a tool for high performance is resilience. Now, if you're a spiritually awakened woman, you are probably going to be going through some big changes in your life. You're an old soul. I'm going to do a whole other podcast on what it means to be an old soul. But you are, you're someone who's probably wants to play a big game in life, and probably you want to make some big changes in your life, right? And how do you perform at a high level through transitions? How do you perform at a high level when you're thinking, I might leave my corporate job and start doing some spiritual work? How do you perform at a high level when you're going through deep healing on trauma? Well, we need to learn resilience. We need to learn that that everything we're going through will pass through us. Everything has a cycle, and that um, when we feel like we're failing or we're going through another big learning cycle, that it's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to feel and look messy. It's not going to make sense to people around us that are really wedded to success looking a certain way. We may feel very unsuccessful. Even these feelings of I'm a failure might come up and ruminate and cycle around in our mind. We need to learn resilience, and we need to learn we've got to get up and keep on going towards our vision. So all high performers are highly resilient. Now, it doesn't mean we don't fall down, but as someone, I consider myself a high performer now. It's taken me, I performed at different high performance levels in my career. Early in my career, I was, I did exceptionally well in school, primary school and high school. But it was from sheer hard work and grit. And then I did that very much in my corporate career. I was blessed with kind of the intelligence of, my dad's a doctor, and so I had this ability to learn and study large volumes of information, and I love studying. I love learning new things. So I have these gifts. However, I had these massive liabilities of having to overachieve all the time, having to be perfect all the time, needing to externally look successful all the time. And that just burnt me out so many times over and over till I had my spiritual awakening. And this word spiritual awakening is being thrown about, but it truly is a moment when you awaken. And everyone that's listening has probably had some awakening or going through an awakening if you're listening to this podcast. And once you have your first awakening, it probably will feel like the first crisis. And for someone who's probably, you might have been a high performer in the first part of your life, when you have your crisis, it can feel so devastating to your ego. You're like, no way this is happening to me. This is the most shocking, embarrassing, rude shock from the universe. But what really is happening is your life is being reconstructed in a new way, in the way it needs to. The blueprint of your life is kind of starting to emerge. And it's kind of a messy ride from then on, because we stop having an ability to control our life, and we start to learn to move way more into our feminine, into surrendering, into being flow state, into working with the spiritual tools that we're starting to come across. So high performance for spiritually awakened people is getting real with those tools and starting to use them. Not spiritually bypassing, but using those spiritual tools to keep on up leveling and upgrading, and also building more resilience. So spiritual tools is definitely connecting to spirit guides daily, starting to learn how to channel, starting to work with your own astrology to realize what are you here to do, learning the transits you're going through and understanding, why am I going through something difficult right now? And what lesson do I need to learn? Every time I go through something difficult, the old version of me would go, why me? This is so horrible. When will it end? Like, I'd ring psychics and I'd ring astrologers going, when is this bad patch going to end? Now, I'm obviously curious as to when something difficult I'm going through is going to end. I mean, everyone wants to know that. But I now ask, what am I here to learn? Because if I don't learn this properly now, I will be back on the merry-go-round my next cycle, whenever that is. 5-year cycle, 8-year cycle, 10-year cycle. I'll be back learning this lesson again and again and again, and I don't want to. So I ask myself different questions. When you're resilient, we move out of victim mode into more of an empowered frame of mind where we question, what am I here to learn? What am I here to master? What lessons am I here to move and evolve beyond? Those kinds of questions will build very quickly a resilient mindset and move us out of victim mindset. So that's another high performance tools. Okay. Now, this one's been bantered around a lot, this next tool, and it's the one of gratitude. Okay. And everyone's like, oh, it feels fluffy, gratitude. When you do a gratitude practice well, I found it's a game changer, a true game changer. I learned about gratitude as a practice that's a game changer with DeMartini. And his courses are fantastic. And basically, we can say thank you, universe, all day long and not really mean it. We got to start using gratitude daily as a way to keep our frequency high. We are only magnetic when our frequency is high. And one of the loveliest ways, I think, to start gratitude is when you're in a crisis. And when you're in a crisis, I would do this morning and night as a practice. Or if you've got a corporate job, do it on your lunch break, right? So if you're racing to get to work, it's always nice to start the day with it, but try and do it once or twice during the day. And if, like I said, if you've got a corporate job or you're in between meetings, sit quietly in a room and write down 10 reasons why you're grateful for whatever is in your life. Now, this is one of the fastest ways to move us out of victim mode, out of everything in my life is bad, everything's a crisis. If you're going through a difficult breakup, you're waking up probably a bit depressed, a bit lost of a morning. You got to wake up and go, what today am I grateful for? It's the fastest way to move you through a challenging time, because from a metaphysical basis, it literally changes your energy field. You start realizing that there is so much there, and then you start manifesting and creating more of that energy, and you move yourself away from the lack mentality. Now, this is a high performance tools because fundamentally we want to be manifesting and creating with the universe daily. We've got cycles as women that we go through. We've got our menstrual cycle. We've got our pre-healing cycle. We've got our astrological cycle. There's so many cycles. The cycles I probably haven't even thought about. Yet these tools keep us steady. They keep us more level. They keep us trajectorying towards our vision with less interruption, right? So a gratitude practice is, and a beautiful question I had a mentor give me many years ago. And this question we can ask ourselves every day, and you could do it of a nighttime. Again, you can do it of a morning. And when I say ask questions, journal writing is essential as a high performance reflective tool. I don't know any successful business owner, entrepreneur, or executive that does not engage in journal writing every single day. I used to hate journal writing. And then one day I started, like Forrest Gump. You know how he just started running? That you've seen the Forrest Gump movie? He just went out and bought a pair of sneakers and just started running. That was me. I hated journal writing. I found it boring. Friends bought me journals for Christmas. I'd be like, why have you done this? Then one day I literally started journal writing, and it was like my pen never stopped. And it's been a game changer for my life. So one question you can ask yourself every day is, what evidence today is there that my dreams are coming true? What evidence today exists that my dreams are coming true? It gets us very present that there are things in our life that we've created that are taking us where we want to go. This kind of grateful mindset, self-aware mindset, even if you're in the middle of a divorce and there's chaos, and even in the middle of the storm, in the middle of my IVF, failure after failure, I would go, what evidence is there? Well, we're still going. We're still doing more IVF. I've got a supportive, loving marriage. My business is going well that I can afford IVF. I just kept on listing all these amazing things in my life as evidence that my dreams are coming true. I'm in the process of making my dreams come true. We might have to look deeply into our life. It might be my best friend call me today to check in on me. That's evidence that I have support, that I can move through the difficult challenges I'm going through. This is a high performance tool for someone who's hypersensitive. You might be manifesting a few more challenges just to, have a bit more soul evolution. You're more spiritually awakened. And so you realize that you've got an energy field. You master your energy field, you master your life, right? So these are high performance tools for sensitive people, empaths, the spiritually awakened, and those really honestly addressing trauma, looking to heal and move beyond it. I hope this has helped you. I'm going to share more and more stories, in these podcasts about, my life and how I've, awakened, stayed awake, and really kind of learned to sort of up level continuously. If you want to give me any feedback, or if there's any podcast you want me to record, any questions you have, please reach out. I answer all DMs. Reach out to me on Instagram, Sheila_V__. Reach out to me on Facebook or email me at info@sheilav.co. Personally answer all emails and all DMs. I love to hear from for people that listen. Thank you all for tuning in. I'm noticing this podcast is getting a bit of a groundswell, which is excellent. Thank you for your support, and I look forward to tuning in with you soon. Big love and hugs. Bye.
Thank you so much for listening. I love you. I'm filled with gratitude for you. I honor you for choosing you, your personal growth, and your evolution. Thank you for letting me into your world. It has been a privilege. Now do me one favor, one big thing. Share this podcast with a soul sister or brother who needs to hear this. My mission on planet Earth is to help as many people as possible so we can be bold, be brave, and be courageously ourselves. I'll see you on the next episode.